I forgot to add this to my last video. I kept feeling pressed to make sure I looked at the nebulas and clusters, but I still didn't remember. Well, there is one in particular that is right at the wing of the swan, on the side with the lyre. It's nicknamed the Trickster Nebula. Look how many forms it comes in. I mentioned there will be great deception trying to take us down. Well, here's another confirmation that this whole warning story is important. The enemy wants to clip our wings. Remember, angels are glorious beings, even the bad ones. Do not be deceived. The trickster in native legends is the evil one. Some tribes still worship jester-looking creatures. The Joker is always bad, and personally, I have never liked clowns. The most common trickster animal is the coyote, old Wile E. himself. Get this. Natives selected the coyote as their moon, but when they learned he spied on them from the sky, they replaced him. There's my creepy moon again. Did you notice there's a dog-looking character up next to our swan? He comes from a story of the fox and the goose. The picture used to have a goose in his jaws. So not only is the liar a liar, but so is this dog. His story is also played out with the fox as a Roman Catholic friar preaching to the silly geese, his congregation. Ironically, next to this trickster nebula is a hole cluster. Foxes live in holes. Did you know to ensnare unwary fowls, they roll around in the mud and pretend to be dead? He lays and waits for birds to think they can feast on him. In like manner, the Antichrist is prophesied to have a mortal head wound and raise from the dead. Be wary. He has nothing for you. It's a trick. He will eventually pounce and strangle you. Foxes are also known to be quite destructive in vineyards, destroying the grapes. Again, mere coincidence that the enemy is after our souls, and the rapture is a great harvest, a reaping of good fruits. This all reminds me of my creepy grape dream. Here, I'll tell it real quick. It was super strange. My husband and I were watching the news on TV. Every story was of China rounding up our people. Parents were comforting their children on planes or in lines. I was tending a plant while we talked and watched. We were wondering why people were going so willingly. I asked, what happens if we refuse? And immediately a hole, like a camera shutter, opened in the stem of my plant. Out of that hole came a huge branch of a different kind. It grew larger than the entire plant. I wasn't fazed because I was still worried about the news. No big deal, right? I looked down and noticed the huge branch suddenly had giant grapes. I knew they weren't edible because of their markings. These markings were small pictures of a very Catholic Jesus with a halo and his arms stretched out. As I noticed more pictures, I found myself mindlessly eating a grape. While I was chewing, I was processing that I knew not to eat it. I spit it out of my mouth and started wiping at my tongue, then I woke up. That morning I was given Hosea 2:9. Therefore, I will take back my grain at harvest time, and my new wine in its season. He has a reason to take his bride to safety. He wants to remove us from these evil shenanigans. Did you know shenanigans can mean playing the fox? Fox, faux, false, failure, faux pas, fault, default. Stop running on default, following the God of this world blindly. Fight your mind to believe in your Creator. Satan tricked Adam and Eve right out of Eden. Don't let him trick you right into hell.